Chapter 10. While watching my screams shatter the door of the laboratory, I was awakened to my surprising ability. The tale of the little girl being cornered, suddenly awakening to her power and seeking revenge. I felt like I saw something like that in a movie. But never mind that. More importantly, I have to do something to stop my power from going berserk. I understand. There is only one method to stop this rampage, and that's Matsuda. Other than Matsuda examining my messed up head, there is no other secret technique to stop this overflow of power. Anyway, I have to hurry. If I don't do something about this soon, something horrible will happen. And that's why, in order to meet Matsuda, I'm going to have to use this uncontrollable power just one more time. Determined, I turned my gaze towards the wreckage and glared at the back of Kitty Giddy's head. I then focused all my concentration towards her head and locked on, letting out all of my power with a scream. Burst! Doing so, the girl's head didn't burst into pieces like a watermelon at all. Huh? As I looked at Kitty Giddy's perfectly unchanged normal head, I tilted my head as I noticed someone's shadow standing in the back.
So, you really were over here.
It was a low, threatening voice. The man with the jet black uniform noisily stepped onto the wreckage of the overturned door, while his jet black hair swayed back and forth. His slim frame gave off feelings of toughness, like a well-strung wire, and he was quite tall as well. Too good for knocking? Kitty Giddy warily chose her words, attracting his attention.
Mind your own business.
While snapping back with his sharp words, he shifted his gaze alternatingly between Kitty Giddy and I with his thin reptile-like eyes. The moment I saw his eyes, that itchiness began to spring back into my head again. Right away, I dropped my gaze to Ryoko Otonashi's memory notebook, and then I remembered. That's right, the pitch-black man's name was Ashiki Madurai. Wait, but why? After all, he's gotten beaten up so many times right in front of me. First, when he got crushed under a bookcase. Second, when he was assaulted by the black shadow known as Super High School Level Despair. Third, when he was confronted by Mukuro Ikasaba right in this neurology lab. Even with all of that, just why?
Are you surprised why I'm unwounded?
Successfully reading my thoughts, Madurai stretched out his arms to an unsettling length and smiled. The smile resembled a crescent moon, making it almost like a mask.
I've said it before, haven't I? I'm immortal.
As if complying with his words, the glass at his feet chimed. I just wanted to see Matsuda, but all I get are these people speaking nonsense surrounding me. Trying to get anything out of that girl is futile.
Who are you?
Madurai faced Kitty Giddy with a cold stare that would have frozen a normal person. But Kitty Giddy looked right back at him and shook it off like it was nothing, and continued speaking indifferently. You were originally investigating the disappearance of the student council, correct? Madurai raised his eyebrows, surprised.
You know who I am?
I just overheard a few things. Kitty Giddy raised her chin, and after a few moments continued to speak. But I know that you are not immortal, at least. After all, your ability isn't all powerful. It definitely has its limits. Isn't that right, Hope's Peak Academy Student Council member Super High School Level Bodyguard?
That's something only the Student Council would know. Where the hell did you overhear something like that?
Grind, grind. There was a peculiar sound coming from the back of Madurai's mouth.
If your ears are that good, then you should probably know something about this then. Come on, tell me. Who's the guy behind Hope's Peak Academy's largest worst incident? Where's the bastard that killed the student council?
Haven't you been listening? Asking is pointless. Of course, along with that girl over there, I don't know anything about that.
No, that's a lie.
What makes you think that?
My intuition. Do I need a reason other than that?
After saying that, Madurai's intimidating presence grew stronger. The glass under his feet continued to shatter from his force as he stepped forward, and naturally, I began to step back. Hey. While being cautious of Madurai, Kitty Giddy faced me and spoke. Judging by the way he's been talking, you've driven him off multiple times, haven't you? You shouldn't expect too much from me. I weakly turned my head towards her. I don't really remember, but every incident was just a coincidence, and it looks like he's immortal too. While speaking, I carefully glanced towards Madurai, and in return he glared at me with his sharp eyes. Panicking, I quickly averted my gaze while... It's impossible. At least we can take advantage of our numbers, like one of us becoming the decoy and the other running away. That's the only way. I attempted to casually suggest to her to become the decoy. I wasn't sure if she successfully took in my meaning.
So, what are you gonna do? Behave and fess up, or should I beat you till you talk? Do you think you could hurry up and make your mind?
Madurai flipped his greasy long hair while asking. Like I said, I really don't know anything. We don't know anything. In contrast to my stuttering words, Kitty Giddy confidently shot back. She had almost nothing to do with the situation, but her resolve didn't once seem to waver. Honestly, it was almost like she was being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. Well, she must have had her reasons, but I would like it if I didn't have to get dragged into this.
Seems like you won't budge.
As his voice grew more threatening as he mumbled, he grew a silent smile.
Looks like I have no choice then. I'll use my true power. I'll tell you right now, this is unlike anything you've seen so far. It's a pain, but I'll deal with you in one go.
He then started to sway his slender body left and right. Right at the next moment, a mysterious sensation invaded my body. As if I was dizzy, my vision became a blur. Madurai's appearance in front of me seemed to split into two. But the only thing splitting into two was Madurai, the rest of the world remaining like always. What? No matter how many times I blinked, the scene in front of me didn't change. My eyes weren't fooling me. There really were two Madurais in front of me.
I'll introduce myself once more.
In harmony, they both spoke at the same time.
My name is Yoshiki Madurai. My name is Goshiki Madurai.
The slim, long body of the left Madurai and the right Madurai seemed to entangle around each other. The scene was creepy enough to send shivers up my spine. You really look just like one. What I heard was true, it seems. Kitty Giddy's cautious words sounded out once again.
Like I said, just where the hell did you hear about those things?
Madurai's creepy voices once again came out in harmony. The Madurai brothers, the octuplets from Ishiki Madurai to Yashiki Madurai. Those who know about them refer to them as super high school level multiple birth siblings. Due to efficiency utilizing their mutual understanding, their teamwork has led them to be known as the super high school level bodyguard. The Madurai brothers' greatest talent. At least, that's what I heard. Octuplets? Octuplets including Ishiki Madurai to Yashiki Madurai. Super high school level multiple birth siblings. That is the Madurai brothers' greatest talent. That's cheating, isn't it? I desperately shouted out. That's not being immortal at all. It doesn't even make any sense. Then, the two Madurai's mouths creaked open.
Well, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. That's just how it is.
Wait, there was one extra? At that moment I heard footsteps from behind me. Both Kitty Giddy and I turned around at the same time, and as if blocking the doorway to the back of the laboratory, stood another Madurai.
I'm Rokushiki Madurai.
That was the arrival of the third one.
With this, you guys have lost in numbers as well.
And in order.
That's why you shouldn't let your guard down.
Following up right on beat.
We're gonna beat reality into you till you fess up.
As all three voices rang out. Right to left and then from behind. They circled around me, forming a semicircle, perplexing me. Hey, what should we do? I faced Kitty Giddy with my clingy voice.
This isn't the time to be thinking about that.
The two Madurais in front of us kicked at the wreckage towards us, turning the wreckage into lethal projectiles. kitty giddy rammed into me, using that force to push me to the opposite side. The flying bits of the door's wreckage barely missed us at a hair's breadth. There! Due to being pushed, I fell on my butt, but because it was no time to falter, I quickly stood up. But right at that moment, the neck cuff of my shirt was pulled from behind. Gah! Without time to even think about hurting or be let go, I was thrown. Like a rampaging child throwing his doll in a tantrum, my body flew through the air with my head and body hitting a wall, finally coming to a stop. My eyes blacked out from the shockwave. All I knew was that I was in the hallway. It was difficult to comprehend how easily I was thrown from the laboratory, but in any case, I just had to deal with my body aching all over. With my butt, my neck, and my back all being beat up more than necessary, I tried to pull through my numbness along with dealing with the pain coming from seemingly losing all feeling from those body parts. Then, out of nowhere, Matarai stood in front of me. Not too far from the ceiling, his eyes looked down on me from a sharp angle, which more than resembled a reptile now. In other words, it was terrifying.
You've gotten away time after time again.
Even though I heard his words, strangely, his mouth didn't move.
But with 2 people, this should be more than enough.
Then from behind the Matarai standing in front of me stepped out a different Matarai. Looks like it was that Matarai who was talking. The 2 Matarais standing in my blurred vision. This truly was a scene of despair. Not only that, with me thrown into the hallway, I couldn't rely on Kitty Giddy any longer.
I'll ask you one more time.
They once again spoke out in harmony.
In what way are you related to this case?
Following up,
who should I be taking out my revenge on?
In rapid succession,
where is that bastard?
As if winding together.
Or maybe it's really you.
They,
hurry up and talk,
pursued me. But right at that moment, I suddenly felt a breeze over my head. Looking up, I saw that the window was open. Ah! The moment I saw that, an inspiration flew into my mind.
Looks like you won't talk unless I force it out of you.
At the same time, the Matarai's hands reached out towards me. There was no time to hesitate. I dodged through the arms as I stood up, and at that rate, I jumped with all my might onto the edge of the window. With that motion, I aimed towards the rear garden. That's when I realized. This was the 3rd floor.
What?
The expressions of the Matarais left behind both changed to surprise simultaneously. Throwing myself out of the hallway's 3rd floor window was definitely outside of their expectations. And that goes the same for myself. Actually, the surprise on my face was most likely even greater than theirs. Then, while still surprised, my body caught by gravity continued to fall straight down towards the garden. Ah! What followed that fall was a shockwave. It wasn't a fatal shockwave, however. It didn't even take my consciousness. Miraculously, my body fell straight into some shrubbery, exceptionally cushioning my fall. That was just 100% coincidence. I didn't know about it, I didn't aim for it, and I didn't expect it either. But for some reason, even though I couldn't understand it, I took that coincidence like it was a matter of course. Still, the shockwave was strong enough to numb most of my body, and my arms and legs and face were all being stabbed by the prickly bits of the shrubbery. Even so, I calmly ordered my head to escape, and my arms and feet slowly regained their functions. I then proceeded to crawl out on all 4s. While crawling, I ran into 2 pairs of black shoes. Continuing on all 4s, I raised my head up to see 2 Matarais looking down on me.
I'm Sheichi Shiki Matarai. I'm Yashiki Matarai.
They were different Matarais from the ones on the 3rd floor. Looks like they were called out.
Well, we certainly didn't expect you to come falling down.
Without thinking, a gulping sound came from my throat. But despite this nightmare-like situation, I didn't feel confused, scared, or uneasy. Instead, what I felt was that intense itchiness in my brain. And along with that itchiness came a premonition. I won't die. I won't die here. How that premonition floated up was unknown even to myself, but it was definite that that was the premonition. I was almost completely sure about that.
What's with that easygoing face? It's pissing me off.
The two Matarais looked like they were wrapping around each other as they advanced and examined my face. In those eyes were a thick concentration of murderous intent.
Why don't you understand the situation you're in for once?
The Matarais then formed a fist together, and followed up raising them together. But my gaze was looking past them, focused on the girl behind their shoulders. It seems that my premonition earlier conveniently matched the situation at the moment. You shouldn't pry into outsiders' affairs so much. The Matarais turned around at the same time. The girl who was supposed to be as far away to the point where she was the size of a thumb suddenly appeared behind their backs. The itchiness in my brain. At that point, I remembered. That girl's name was Mukuro Ikusaba. I won't say anything, but you should probably lay off that girl. Then with both hands, she firmly gripped the Matarai's arms.
Ah.
As their expressions changed to anguish, their knees hit the floor. Give up. Your hands won't last in this level of situation. Her grip on their hands were so strong that a sound could be heard. Just where could that slim girl be hiding all that power? But the ones that understood her strength firsthand were the suffering Matarais themselves.
Don't screw with me!
The kneeling Matarais screamed, almost at the same time. Behind Ikusaba, who was behind the Matarais, came two different Matarais jumping out. Several right and left legs shot out in symmetry in a flying kick towards Ikusaba. But without any signs of being phased at all, she released the arms of the Matarais in front of her and dodged the flying kicks coming at her in one fluid motion. The two brothers who launched those flying kicks nimbly changed positions before landing. The four Matarais had Ikusaba completely surrounded.
What do we do about that girl over there? Leave that to Rokushiki. Can you handle that by herself? It's not like she's accustomed to combat. First, let's take care of this one. Yeah, that would be simpler.
While they discussed their strategy with their ridiculously similar voices, their firm watch over Ikusaba did not waver once. But Ikusaba showed no signs of being cornered. Instead, she was rapidly glancing at all their faces while seemingly murmuring her confirmations. If I just defeat these four, and I just leave one for Kitty Kitty, got it, all according to plan. All according to plan. Hearing those words, the Matarais strongly reacted. In harmony, all four of their voices shouted out,
What the hell are you talking about?
But of course, Ikusaba responded with a cool face. Not much. Nothing you guys would need to know. You guys don't even seem to be holding any important information in the first place. That's why I'm telling you now. You should probably give up.
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up!
The four intimidating voices attacked Ikusaba all at once.
You think we can give up now? We swore to them. We'll keep on going for the student council. We'll prove that to you. We swear to protect the student council's honor. We'll protect it to the death. We'll definitely take our revenge on you. We won't let anyone get in our way.
From the right to the left, from the front to the back, the frustrated interchanging words dispersed throughout the air. Even so, Ikusaba carefreely scratched her head, sighing. I feel like I can relate to what you guys are going through, but... Wait, that's a lie. I actually can't relate to them at all, but I can understand them. But that girl is different. To her, she has no gain from understanding what you have to say. Stuff like your thoughts or your hope, they mean nothing to her. It means nothing to the one who set up this entire scenario. So trying to end all of this by pushing it on her would be futile. Grind, 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 grind. The sounds of their mutual grinding filled the garden.
It looks like you don't know anything at all. You know about Hope's Peak Academy's largest incident, it seems. That's convenient. We'll listen to what you have to say, but after we beat you up.
The four Matarais bent down and formed a stance. Oh jeez. Even after I warned you. Ikusaba seemed to grumble. Even though I didn't want any more victims to get involved.
Victim? Victim? Victim?
Once again, the Matarais all shouted together. Encircling her like a dog threatens to shepherd a herd, bared their teeth and roared.
Do you know? Do you know about our brothers? Where did our brothers disappear to? What happened to Ashiki, Nishiki, and Mashiki?
Then, Ikusaba turned back and with her freezing glare, she responded, "Don't come near me." Those words triggered it. A sound like something rupturing was heard as the four brothers kicked off the ground with all their might, as they headed towards Ikusaba from four directions all at once. Like I said, it's pointless. Just as Ikusaba was about to get hit by the blunt of those attacks, she dodged them completely with just one movement. No matter how many of you come at me at once, your base value never changes. That kind of pack mentality attack won't get through me. While murmuring in that calm voice, she moved at a speed incomprehensible to the naked eye. The Matarais attacked with such coordination to the point where their breaths were at the same pace, while Ikusaba easily dodged them with brilliant deduction. It was almost like she was from a different dimension. I won't let anyone oppose that girl. Even while dancing, she murmured. Her breath didn't falter once. That's because this is for despair. The Matarais continued to repeat their emaciated attacks while Ikusaba, on the other hand, continued to move faster, rolling like a torrent. Eventually, that torrent mercilessly swallowed them up. From there, it was pretty much a one-sided development. It developed one-sidedly, and it ended one-sidedly. When Ikusaba finally stopped, the four Matarais were laid around her feet. That wasn't some halfway transition. What I witnessed was truly only that event. It's over. Letting out a small sigh, Ikusaba murmured while already looking away from the Matarais. Those eyes then faced towards me. Astonished, I forgot what I was doing and was just taken aback. Why are you so strong? It's all I'm good for, after all. That girl who replied didn't have one thing you could call an expression laid out on her face. It was like she was wearing an emotionless mask, with only specks of blood splattered here and there. Why did you save me? Well, just because. Just because? Ikusaba nodded and dropped her gaze down to her feet. After a few moments of silence, she gently opened her mouth again. For example, it's like a video game RPG. Video game? It's like that? Like a straightforward RPG or something. The people who live in that world, it looks like they have their own will, but it just looks like that. In the end, they are just scripted to act in a way convenient for the game. It's the same with the protagonist. It's just that the protagonist doesn't even realize what he is. What are you trying to say? Well, my fight with the Matarais wasn't a coincidence. Actually, it's the same with the Matarais coming to the neurology laboratory, and the same with removing the unnecessary kitty-gitty from the scenario. Everything was determined right from the beginning. What do you mean by determined? The same goes for me. I'm just moving along as scripted with her scenario, moving accordingly to her will, only to prevent the scenario from taking the wrong path. Huh? I'm talking about Junko Anishima, of course. At that moment, it felt like my blood froze. As expected, everything returns to Junko Anishima. Everything from getting me or Matsuda involved, it's all because of that horrible girl. Wait, what? At that point, I suddenly realized it. Then, you're working with Junko Anishima? As I glared at her blamingly, Ikusaba hesitantly responded, as if embarrassed. Well, working with her, it's more like, she's my sister. Huh? It was too sudden of a confession. Mukuro Ikusaba and Junko Anishima are sisters. Wait, that's even worse than just working together, isn't it? But, even though we're sisters and we're connected by blood, all of that doesn't mean anything to her. After all that girl looks for is despair. Other people's despair. Her own despair. That's all that exists for her. All of a sudden, it looked like Ikusaba's eyes were gazing far away. That's why, whoever it may be, whatever the situation may be, whatever world it may be, it just all means nothing to her, unless she is dealing with despair. That's the world of the girl known as Super High School Level Despair, Junko Enoshima. What the? But that's ridiculous! Yes, it's ridiculous. That's what Junko Enoshima is. Hearing her response, I felt a new sensation of dread. This time, it was creeping up from my feet bit by bit. Yes, she really is ridiculous, to the point of despair. She's the lowest, worst sister ever, but that's why I can't leave her alone. That's why I have to help her. After all, I'm the only one who can understand her. Then, looking at the face Ikusaba showed me, I was suddenly taken aback. The ever so emotionless face was ecstatic and smiling. I don't know if she is attracted to despair or despair is attracting her, but she has lived her whole life with despair by her side. She lived while immersed in despair. That's why she began looking for despair in others. She learned to enjoy pushing people into despair. But you know, that's normal. It's the same as someone being cursed by misfortune to fall into hatred for those who aren't. But what's special about her was that she learned to enjoy inflicting despair onto herself. That's how the link to despair began. As she chased down despair, she pushed it onto others on the way. Doing so, it caused her to desire falling into despair even more. And because of that chain of despair, the super high school level despair was born. While she spoke, it was like she fell into a fever. The expressions on her face turned into ecstasy. It was so completely absurd that it would have been hard for anybody to think of it as anything but a joke. But I understood that this was real. It might have been because the memories of Junko Enoshima inside me led to that conclusion. Hey, you don't get it, right? I don't think anybody could. But you know, only I can understand it. Consumed by ecstasy, even Ikusaba's breaths began to become ragged. Only I am able of understanding her. That's why she needs me. She still hasn't realized that, but maybe she is only pretending not to realize. That's because she's so shy. Seeing this intoxicated Ikusaba continue to talk like that repelled me. I knew that she definitely didn't have normal feelings for Junko Enoshima, but that sort of thing shouldn't have anything to do with me. That's right. It has nothing to do with me. Without thinking, I started speaking. Eh? It's not like I know anything about you or Junko Enoshima. That sort of thing doesn't have anything to do with me. Realizing what I was saying, I quickly apologized. I'm sorry. At that moment, Ikusaba's face turned pale. I'm sorry. Getting more and more into it, I began to bow my head as well. Don't need to apologize that much. I'm sorry. Even so, I continued to apologize to the point where she almost felt bad. And then I realized how tired I was. Putting everything aside, I was tired. Tired from the confrontation of the Matarais, the conversation with Ikusaba about Junko Enoshima, and above all, I just wanted to see Matsuda. That's right, I want to see Matsuda. Hey, it's okay if I leave now, right? With eagerness strong enough to blow away my tiredness, I felt like I had to get out of this place, and without waiting for her answer, anyway, thanks for helping me. I'll be leaving now. Leaving those words just as I started running off. Oh wait, I still haven't told you the whereabouts of Yasuke Matsuda. Immediately braking to a stop, I turned around and faced Ikusaba. If you don't know where he is, you probably won't be able to see him. How do you know where Matsuda is? I immediately ran up closer to her. More importantly, if you know, then please tell me. But as I approached her, I was suddenly taken aback. Ikusaba's face was radically different from earlier, a grim, stern expression. It felt like she was a sniper in a battlefield aiming at her target. I don't like it when things go towards this direction after getting along so well, but this is part of the scenario, so I have no choice. While murmuring with sadness as if she was about to cry, she shot her freezing glare towards me. In order for me to tell you Yasuke Matsuda's whereabouts, an exchange is required. Exchange? Ikusaba then pointed towards the Matarais laying on the floor and spoke with a low voice. Those people laying over there still don't know about the last remaining member of the student council president, being murdered. I'm sure if they found out, they would fall into despair. Despair strong enough to push them to even die for the sake of revenge. What are you saying? My voice filled with tension. Even I understood what she was talking about. If you leave them be, I'm sure they would go and kill Yasuke Matsuda. Kill, 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 kill. Soon, those words began to spin around in my head. Why does Matsuda need to die? The student council president's murder has nothing to do with him. That's not true. It does have something to do with him. Ikusaba shook her head. Because Yasuke Matsuda murdered the student council president. Murdered. That's why we'll exchange. While saying that, she took something out of her pocket and threw it towards my feet. Work your hardest for his sake. If you really love Yasuke Matsuda, then you'd work your hardest for him. I dropped my eyes towards my feet. Sitting on the moist ground was a knife with Hope's Peak Academy's emblem engraved onto it. The moment I laid eyes on it, my heart began beating with an amount of blood strong enough to break a vessel. To seize hope for both him and yourself, you must work at your hardest. I can't be expected to kill. You can't be serious, right? No, I'm serious. Without time for thinking, she immediately responded. You will overcome Hope's Peak Academy here. With the sacrifices of the Matarais, you will obtain true hope. That is the scenario Junko Anashima has assigned to you. What is this? The scenario Junko Anashima assigned? Why? Why am I forced to do this? The severe confusion gave me a fever. I was attacked with immense dizziness and ringing in my ears. Why? And then I realized I was gazing up at the sky. Thick gray clouds began covering the sky, making it like only this moist, gloomy garden was in the middle of the night, enveloped in silence. While I stared at the sky absent-mindedly, I could feel the black, helpless emotions inside of me bubbling up. Like the toxic sludge from underground sewers, it dried up like dead grass. I stopped and thought with my hazy head. This is despair. To overcome this despair and seize hope. Whose voice was that? Was it mine? Ikusaba's? Or was it? But it already had nothing to do with me. Suddenly, I reached out my hand towards the silver knife, and then to slice away the dark fog of despair, I wielded the knife in a trance. Doing so, I felt the texture of flesh. Beyond the knife standing into the Matarais bodies, I could feel the blade stabbing all the way through the skin and muscle. The fresh blood squirting out. The cries of death. Goosebumps spread across my skin, and I instantly felt the pain of my stomach's insides knotting together. Despite that, I stabbed. Overcome despair, for the sake of seizing hope for Matsuda and I stabbed and 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 stabbed. I could hear my screams coming from far away. They were the screams from my broken heart. I then returned to myself. From there, as if to shake off the delusions floating up into my head, I soon screamed once again. I can't do it! While my hand was rigid from reaching out towards the knife, my head ached from the fear of the simulation that just flew by my mind. I won't do it! I have no reason to do this. Then, I heard the puzzled voice of Ikusaba coming from above. You know that if you don't overcome despair here, you won't be able to seize hope, right? I can't do that, I screamed while sobbing. Hope and despair, that's just what you or Junko and Ashima have been talking about, right? It has nothing to do with me. My throat began to burn up from screaming so much, and my tears and snot mixed together as I crouched towards the ground. Help me. Help me, Matsuda. As if pleading, I continued to cry. Grasping my head, I continued to shamelessly cry. Help me. Help me, Matsuda. Matsuda. Then, an even further puzzled voice could be heard from Ikusaba. I don't really know what to do in these kinds of situations, but anyway, I'll tell you where Yasuke Matsuda is. Huh? I was surprised. I lifted my head up. Huh? Ikusaba was probably surprised as well. Probably because my face was so unsightly from crying. You'll tell me? Well, if things end at this rate, Junko will get mad at me. Hearing that, I scrubbed my face with the sleeves of my uniform and once again firmly stood up on my own 2 feet. I then slapped my cheeks to focus and faced Ikusaba with a question. Then, tell me, where is Matsuda? Ikusaba then responded with a light voice. Yasuke Matsuda is at the X school building. Once again, the intense itchiness attacked my head. X school building. I felt like I heard those words not too long ago somewhere, but it was no time to be dealing with that itchiness right now. Got it. So if I go to the X school building, I'll meet Matsuda, right? Yes. That place is supposed to be the planned climax. I'm able to meet Matsuda. With that thought in mind, a mysterious power seemed to come up from deep within me. My screaming and shouting and falling into despair from before seemed all to be a lie. I felt myself brimming with energy. This is hope. Thanks. I'll be taking off then. I bowed my head towards Ikusaba. I had no reason to bow my head towards the sister of the horrible Junko and Ashima, who was assisting her in that messed up plan, but this might be the power of hope as well. Alright. Good luck then. I'll take care of cleaning up what's left here. Ikusaba spoke while looking around at the Matarais laying at her feet. After I clean this up, I'll go and help Kitty Giddy. Then I'll remove Kitty Giddy from the scenario. Then everything will go just along like the scenario. So leave the rest to me. I was tired of hearing her repeatedly talk about the scenario towards the very end. That's why, with a short bye, I immediately ran off. But as soon as I dashed off, I suddenly noticed something. While running, I turned around and saw Ikusaba absent-mindedly standing still. Lying around her were those 4 Matarais, but I felt like there was something missing there. But I couldn't remember what. But it wasn't the time to think about something like that, and I continued to run straight ahead. That's right. I don't have the time to be turning around. I was heading towards Hope's Peak Academy's North District's X school building. Even without looking at Ryoko Odanashi's memory notebook, the path towards my destination somehow floated up into my head. It looks like I was pretty troubled. Troubled to the point where I couldn't handle it. But if it's to meet Matsuda, then it'll all be okay. I'll be able to get rid of this uneasiness. That's because if I meet Matsuda, everything will turn back to normal. My head will become normal again, and then I'll be able to return to those peaceful days with Matsuda. Whatever there may be, whatever may happen, I'll return to those peaceful days of receiving treatment from Matsuda. That is my ideal happy ending. What I was heading for wasn't the X school building. It was towards that happy ending. Heading towards that happy ending, I ran as fast as I could.